What's up, all you non-believers, and welcome to There Is No Godcast mini-episode mobile edition. You know, I discovered this accidentally a few months ago, actually, when I was doing something or other with my other podcast, that I was on the Poddin app, which is where I host my, if you're listening on iTunes or Stitcher or Spotify, you might not necessarily be aware of this, but I host the show on Podbean, and they have an app. And I was on the app, signed in, and I noticed at one point a little microphone icon, and I was like, I wonder what this is. And I pressed it, and I looked around, and sure enough, they give you the ability to record audio directly to Podbean through the app, which is kind of cool. Obviously you're somewhat at the mercy of the audio quality of your phone's microphone. But whatever, it's still really cool. It makes it really open up a lot of possibilities to do interviews when I'm out and about. Or, like today, when I'm behind on my production schedule for a full episode, but I still got a few things to say, and I certainly want to be at least semi-regular with producing content. I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna turn this on. I'm gonna try this out, and full disclosure, I'll probably listen back to it before I decide whether or not to even publish it. But if you're hearing this right now, then clearly I was at least satisfied enough to go ahead and give it a try. As I said, I'm a little behind on production schedule for this next full episode. I've got an interview scheduled. It's going to be a good one. I'm really excited about it. My friend Daniel is going to be on the show. He is also a member of the board of Northern Indiana Atheists, so I've always certainly wanted to periodically make it a point to specifically involve members of NIA, but Daniel's also just been a good friend of mine for several years through some of the other atheist local communities that we've mutually been a part of, and he's just a really, really good guy. So we tried to schedule this interview a couple of times over the last few weeks. We both have kids. We both have very busy lives. So we just, long story short, we tried a couple times, and for various reasons, we just couldn't make it happen. But I think I mentioned in my Facebook post kind of saying, hey, no episode tomorrow. Sorry, guys, that I was going to try and do a mini episode. And that's what this is. I have some stuff to talk about. We're 5 episodes deep at this point. This is kind of like episode 5.5, I guess you could say. And I don't really have a super definable topic today. There's no off the cuff. There's no atheist story time. I don't have a guest. I'm literally just driving down the road, talking into my phone in the rain. So hopefully, man, oh man, if this sounds good, it's really not for lack of my trying to make it not sound good. I'm using my phone. I'm in a car. It's raining on my windshield, but whatever. If this turns out to suck, I'll just press delete. But no real major topic. It's just a little bit of a state of the show. I'm 5 episodes in. I feel very proud of what I've put out there so far. I feel very proud of the work that I've done and that all of you have done in supporting me. I'm so proud of everyone who's come on the show and who has been, I guess, brave enough to share their stories. That's definitely no easy thing. And, the feedback on the show has been pretty universally positive. Well, maybe not universally, but pretty overwhelmingly positive. And, I'm not going to lie. I've had some blowback. I've had some consequences of the negative variety that have come from this show. But I knew that I'm a realistic guy. And I knew that there were going to be people who were not happy about my doing this show, and I'm not going to be specific, but I knew that there would be people who would not be pleased. That's not really saying anything shocking, right? There are a lot of people who take exception to a lot of my viewpoints, even at their best and most diplomatic. There are people who are going to be bothered by my worldviews. And if I'm being even more honest with myself, I know that some of my views are not always the most diplomatic. I have made many attempts to mention that I do my best to be respectful and keep things lighthearted and positive in tone. But, I do have a lot of criticisms of organized religion, Christianity specifically, just because of the fact that it's, it is the prevalent religion in our country, and this is where I live, and, that's a lot of what I have things to say about of a critical nature. And let's be real, I also do say a lot of things that could be taken as offensive. I'm irreverent. I use a lot of humor in my approach, and I don't know. It's just kind of who I am. It's my personality. For what it's worth to any believers out there who might still, for whatever inexplicable reason, be listening to this show, despite not being happy about its existence, I can just tell you that this is how I am with everything. Like, I'm not being this way just specifically for the purpose of being snarky or snide about religion or Christianity specifically, or you as an individual person, as a believer. This is just who I am. This is my personality. You know, when I poke fun at things, or when I have criticisms of things or things to say, I kind of always lace everything in a little bit of a humor sauce. That's just kind of how I do things. And I'm trying to stop myself short of apologizing, because in some ways, I won't apologize for being who I am. I will say that, for anyone who's been listening to the show who has been bothered or offended by the way that I sometimes approach religion or specific aspects or tenets of religious belief, or the believers themselves, that I promise you I will continue, as always, to make a better effort to be sensitive to that, and I will try my best, and I can make no promises. I certainly don't want to make any promises that I know I probably won't be able to keep, and again, I don't know that I'd go so far as to call this an apology, but I would definitely say that I take no joy in upsetting people, and you can take that for whatever you think that it's worth. You can believe it or not. I know that it's the truth. I'm a friendly guy, just generally speaking, and I certainly take no joy in hearing that I've caused anyone any harm or any hurt. So I guess we'll call that what it is, and I'll move on. This episode is not going to be, an hour plus like my usual episodes have been. There's not going to be any cuts for sponsor. There's not going to be any cuts for musical artists or anything like that. We certainly appreciate Mixed Fabric, and I appreciate the artists who have allowed me to use their art on my show. But today it's just going to be kind of me talking. This is really going to be the closest thing yet to the predecessor of this show, which was just me getting on Facebook and just kind of talking about my feelings and my thoughts about much broader and more general topics. And what I wanted to talk about today is really kind of just an anecdote disguised as a topic for this show. And what it's about, let me go back to yesterday, okay? Or better yet, let me go back even further. I run, okay? Running is a thing that I do. It's it keeps me healthy. I don't know that I particularly like it in a lot of ways, but it's a really good old-fashioned way to exercise that I can do without really having to put too much thought into it, which kind of gives me the ability to listen to a podcast or a book on Audible, and I can just mentally tune out from the fact that I'm running, which is kind of inherently not fun, but it's good exercise. It kind of helps me stay a little bit in shape and keeps my weight in check. Anyway, I run sort of cyclically. Cyclically. That's a fun word to try and say out loud. Give it a try. Press pause and try and say it. Cyclically. I'm not even sure if it actually is a word, but I digress. I typically will run when it's nice outside, right? When the weather is conducive. So I usually start somewhere in April, maybe early May, when it's really consistently nicer outside. And I'll lose 10, 15 pounds that I kind of pick up every winter, and then winter comes and I stop running, and then the whole cycle just kind of repeats itself. Anyway, the reason I'm telling you this is because this past November, I don't know what it was necessarily that changed in Molly and I's lives that made us finally decide to do this. I had tried a YMCA membership one time, but then you actually have to go there, and it's, and the showers are gross in some ways. It's just, any community showers gross me out, just for the record. That's something you can just know about me as a fun fact. But we decided to get a treadmill, because I was like, you know what? I'm kind of sick of this, right? I know it's not healthy to yo-yo with your weight, and I thought this would actually be really cool to have a treadmill, and I know the stereotype is that you buy a treadmill and you use it once and then it becomes a clothes hanger, but and people made those jokes when we decided to buy one, and frankly, I'm just kind of a spiteful and stubborn guy in some ways, so I decided when we decided to buy a treadmill, we did it around Black Friday, right, because that's when you get good deals. I don't think it was actually Black Friday, but it was somewhere thereabouts, Christmas shopping season. People made those jokes, and I was like, you know what, screw that. Now I want to run on it even more. I want to be consistent, and I really want to do it just to, I guess, yeah, you were wrong. It's not a clothes hanger. It's still a treadmill, and I use it all the damn time. So that's what we did. And, I finished out the running season like late fall, and I was in good shape, or at least the best shape that I typically get in every year. And then we got this treadmill. So I was able to successfully transition into winter, maintaining this kind of fitness regimen. And running on a treadmill is not quite the same as running outside, but like it gets the job done. And I was able to not only not gain back that 15 or 20 pounds, but I was able to lose an extra 15 or so pounds. And so now we're at the end of winter, it's starting to get warmer again. And I'm at like I'm at like my best weight since high school. And this is not like a weight loss show, but I promise there's a point and it's coming. And yesterday was the first day that I was able to kind of, there have been a couple warmer days, but it's just those were not days where my schedule was right or whatever. And yesterday was the first day where it was warm enough for me to run outside. And usually every year, when running season kind of comes back around, I'm heavier and I'm out of shape, and I kind of dread it because I know that there's going to be a couple of weeks where it's really physically tough getting back into the routine. And I wasn't dreading this. I've been really excited about it. Because I'm like, man, I feel good. This is the best I've felt coming into spring in a long time, and I can't wait to get back outside. It just feels better. The fresh air and the sunshine and, all of that stuff. So I went out and I ran, and it felt great. And I came home, and I was just kind of on this runner's high because I was so excited to go out there, and I had got a new pair of shoes, and it was just all good. And I thought, you know what? I feel really good right now. I feel really good. I feel really happy, and I started thinking about all these other things, just about my life. My birthday is kind of in the neighborhood of right now, and so I think about these things anyway. And I was like, man, I've got this great wife, I've got great kids, I've got a good job, I got to go outside and run, and I'm in shape, and I'm feeling really physically healthy. And I just thought, man, my life is good. And it started to make me think about this show because of the fact that I'm kind of always looking for things to talk about and topics. And I had known that I was going to try and do some kind of mini episode with a lot less structure than the full episodes. And it just kind of made me start transitioning all of these thoughts into the idea. There's this idea, right, that a lot of Christians have that you can't truly be happy without God. You can't, you've heard that expression, or maybe you've heard this expression that that we all have this hole in our hearts, and the only thing that can fill it is God. And as I was sitting there, sweaty and just kind of reflecting on my gratitude for all of the wonderful things that my life encompasses, I was like, that's bull, forgive me, but that's bull. And that really kind of bothers me. And it's one of the things that even though you, amongst believers, don't mean for it to be, that's really hurtful to people like me. And that's really offensive to people like me who will be sitting there thinking, man, I've got a great life. I'm grateful for it. I feel grateful for, the fact that I take ownership of a lot of the circumstances in my life. I made a lot of really good decisions. Like, my life is not great by accident. I certainly am very fortunate in a lot of ways. I'm very privileged in terms of just the circumstances of my birth. I was born in a very technologically advanced time period in human history. I was born in a free country. I was born with two loving parents. I was born healthy genetically, and health-wise. Like, yeah, for sure. I caught a lot of really great breaks in terms of just the chaos of the universe that I typically believe in. But I also made a lot of really good choices. I had a great upbringing. My parents raised me well. My mom and dad are good people, and they raised me to be well-mannered and to be kind to people and all of this stuff. I went to school. I worked hard. I've been drawing a paycheck since I was 12 years old. So I as much as I do definitely benefit from a lot of privileges, universally speaking, I also feel like I made a lot of good choices to create the life that I enjoy today. I was fortunate to meet my wife, and I was fortunate that for whatever insane reason that she felt the same way about me. We have two beautiful, healthy kids. Man, I've just got it good. And that's why I'm kind of bringing it all back around to say, I don't feel like there's a hole in my heart at all. You know what I mean? And like, with all due respect, if you think that there is something wrong with me, if you think that I am somehow incomplete because I don't believe in your non-existent God, then with all due respect, like, we just do not see eye to eye on that. Like, I feel like my heart could not be more full. I feel like my life could not be more complete. And it's a big part of the message that I really want to perpetuate by doing this show. The point of this show is not to say screw God or screw Christians or screw religion. The point of this show is to say, if you don't believe in God, you are still fully capable of being happy, of being worthwhile. You know, you do not need God to be complete. You know, you have the ability to choose to feel that way. And you know what? Like, if you choose to have God be a part of your life, if that's what makes you feel complete, then, you know, no pun intended, but God bless you. I'm really glad. I wish you just as well as I wish any atheist that I meet. But I don't like the idea that, well, if you don't believe in God, then there's something missing from your life, or there's something that's incomplete about you. You know, you're not reaching your true potential morally or ethically. And like, no, that's a hard no from me. And take it from Noah Bush, host of There Is No Godcast, the official podcast of Northern Indiana Atheists. If you don't believe in God and you feel like you are a happy person and you do your best to lead a good life and you are kind to people and you make good choices, then there is nothing wrong with you. And I want to be the one who is saying that as loudly as possible from the highest perch, from the highest avenue available to me, which is this podcast. So this episode is all about, I guess, just the idea of being happy with who you are, whether you believe in God or not. And if you believe in God, I'm happy for you. I hope that your beliefs don't ever cause anyone else to feel less than. I hope that your beliefs don't ever infringe on anyone else's rights to, health care in terms of like abortion rights, or I hope your beliefs don't infringe on anyone's ability to feel like they are able to lead their best lives in terms of, a lot of organized religions objections to homosexuality or alternative lifestyles from a sexual preference standpoint. Like, those are the areas where I start to have a problem. I don't inherently have a problem with you believing whatever makes you happy. If you believe in God and that makes you happy, then I'm happy for you. And if you don't believe in God, you are every bit as valued to me. You are every bit as worthwhile to me if you are leading your life every day, doing your best to just be a good person. Religion does not have a copyright or a patent on morality. Morality has existed long before organized religion did. It will exist long after organized religion, I think, in my opinion, someday finally just kind of basically becomes extinct. And yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. I just wanted to say that I ran outside yesterday in the warmth and under the blue skies and the sunshine, and my life is amazing. And God's not a part of my life at all. And those two things are not mutually exclusive. And they don't have to be for you either. If you're someone out there who is struggling with the idea that, well, man, I don't know if I believe this stuff, but like, who am I without God? Am I still a good person? Yes, 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times. You are absolutely still a good person, because I have, as I have always said, believe that what makes a good person is the content of their character and the sum of their deeds. Just do your best to be good. Do your best to be grateful for the things, I guess, for lack of a better word, the blessings you have in your life. Like, I'm not a religious guy, but words all still have meaning, and I can say that the word blessing is just basically a word that says good things in your life that you're proud of and that you're grateful for. That's what makes you a good person, okay? Not the book that you read about, Noah and the Ark and the talking snake and the Garden of Eden. Like, that's not what makes you a good person. Going out into the world and doing good things and perpetuating love and not hate, that's what makes you a good person. That's what I wanted to say. I mean, I feel like Tom Cruise jumping up and down on the sofa right now. But that's what I had to talk about today. Man, I really hope now when I press stop on this that I go and listen back and it at least sounds somewhat intelligible. Because I feel really good about this. There's a lot of stuff that I wanted to get off my chest and just kind of clear some air. And again, I really don't take any joy in anybody who thinks that this show is meant to do anything other than promote tolerance of atheism and acceptance of that worldview. I definitely don't want anyone to be upset with me, but I guess I don't really have control over that. You know, anyone listening to the show gets to decide how they feel about it, and I would never try and take that away from any of you. But just know that it's not my intention, and anybody listening to this, you know, you're perfect just the way you are. You really are, and if that involves, you know, being an atheist, you're still perfect to me. And if that involves being a Christian, you're still perfect to me. If you've got love in your heart and you see a friend in me, then I see a friend in you, and that's just kind of how I want it to be. I think that's about all I've got for you guys today, and I hope that this finds you all well. I hope that this all didn't seem too rambly and incoherent and unstructured, but I promise there is a full episode on its way. Daniel and I are working on finding a mutually agreeable time for us to get together and record the next episode. We've got some stuff we want to talk about. He's got a story that he's going to tell, and I'm really excited for him to tell it. And there's also some big announcements coming. I won't be specific, but I do want to tease that. I think Daniel has something that he is excited to announce, and I will leave that for him. But I like to give you a little something, a little carrot on the end of the stick so that you'll come back next time. And I hope you do. I hope you do come back next time. I can't wait. Don't forget to find us on Facebook. We've got the Facebook page. It's very active. That's where we do the majority of our activity. You can find us on Twitter @NoGodcast. Definitely be sure to please rate and review the show or share the show. You know, when we post these episodes, it takes half a second to just click the share button. Because, I mean, if you're listening to the show and you're enjoying it, that's great. But if you're not sharing it, you're not doing anything to help other people find the show. And that's, you know, I don't deny, I freely admit that I want more people to listen to the show. That's the whole point. I'm recording the show so that people will hear it and hopefully find some value in it. So please do that if you could. It would really mean a lot to me. If not, we can still be friends, I promise. But it would certainly make me feel awful good if you guys would help get the word out there. So please do that. Do not forget to support Northern Indiana Atheists. You can find them at northernindianaatheist.com. Or if you just Google Northern Indiana Atheists, you can find them all over the place. There's a Facebook and all that kind of stuff. So that's all I've got for you guys today. Please be sure and join us next time. And do not stop not believing. We will talk to you then.